Coming up on this episode of MSCB News, we interview the Dean of Schools at the new Vanguard High School.
We also take a look at views of minors on the 2020 election.
An elementary student's perspective on virtual learning.
And then we see how COVID-19 has affected theater programs in Mesquite ISD.
All this and more coming up on MSCB News.
Welcome to MSEB, live from the TEC studios.
Good afternoon, Mesquite ISD. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Yuvia de Mata.
And I'm Kimberly Payan, and you're watching MSEB Live, a show produced by MISD students and brought to you live from the TEC studios.
We'll bring you the top stories from throughout the district and take an inside look at what's happening in MISD. Let's get to our first story. Due to COVID-19, many theaters are closed, but the North Mesquite Theater Department is finding ways to safely perform their productions. Here is what North Mesquite is doing to keep the theater production alive.
Without a doubt, an empty theater can be one of the most distressing sights to a performer or a director. Unfortunately, in these trying times, the theaters in the majority of schools across the country are completely empty. However, North Mesquite High School has taken great strides to improve safety in hopes of performing once again.
My name is Rodney Orsak, and I'm one of the theater directors here at North Mesquite High School.
My name is Courtney Morrison, and I'm one of the theater teachers at North Mesquite High School. The most important thing right now to keep students safe while performing theater is making sure that we're following guidelines that the CDC has set in place as far as wearing masks, making sure we're doing self-checks with temperatures and things like that, and just making sure everyone is healthy as we're practicing and rehearsing and performing. We just want to make sure that we keep our students safe and our audiences safe, but also make really good theater and entertain people, because that's always been our goal here.
I think the students that I've seen on campus have been extremely excited to be on stage. They really look forward to that opportunity.
For the students who wish to perform, safety measures have been placed to ensure safety and well-being in the form of mask mandates and optional rehearsals.
The top three priorities would be: number one, to stay safe, to keep everybody safe; number two, to do good theater; and number three, to go ahead and have as normal a year as possible.
Our top three priorities here are to keep our students safe, and to keep our students happy, and to keep our students healthy.
In response, students feel completely safe with the new standards.
I think the changes have worked really well, and I feel fine with the changes because we still just get the opportunity to perform.
I still feel very safe. I think it's very different and it's hard to adjust to, but I never feel worried about my safety or my health, and it's still, for the most part, as similar as it can be and still very enjoyable.
Hopefully, North Mesquite and all other schools in America can once again return to normal. Andres Renteria at Mseb News.
Good theater can still be done during COVID. North Mesquite has it all figured out. In our next story, we take a look at virtual learning through the perspective of an elementary student. Let's see what this third grader from Galloway Elementary has to say.
My name is Edwin, and I'm in third grade. I like virtual learning because whenever we have free time, we can do any math game that has fun activities inside. And I don't like virtual learning because I have to wake up earlier than the in-person kids. If I had the chance to go back to in-person learning, I would take the chance because I think it would be fun to see all of my friends again. I think they're trying to keep each other safe from the sickness going around. Most of the time after school, I'm scared and sometimes I'm calm, but after school, I'm bored with nothing to do. I think I would have better grades in person because I would be able, because the teacher could be able to teach me faster, and it would be better for me to do things myself than for her to show me a the screen. I think PE is better in person because better than virtual because we would be able to do that. We would be able to actually do the activities instead of doing it ourselves, and the PE teachers would be able to teach us faster and better.
I've always wondered what virtual learning is like from a younger student's perspective. Let's hope virtual learning keeps improving to help students learn effectively. The 2020 presidential election has been much like the year 2020, with its ups and downs. Many students have been sharing their views about the election. Let's hear what they have to say.
Honestly, I think both candidates are morons. It's just a matter of who's less of a moron than the other. And we've seen that Trump is and has been acting like a child since he's been elected. You know, he's tweeting all this random stuff that tests his power. He's trying to see how far he can go before someone, you know, actually pushes back. You know, he's just trying to see how far his presidential level can take him. But also, you know, he's been here for like 4 years already. You know, we're still here. You know, we're not in a nuclear wasteland. So obviously he's doing something decently. So long as we're still alive, so long as we aren't being pulled into some war, a world war, or even civil war, you know, I'm okay.
Well, my thoughts on the 2020 election is that it doesn't really affect me as a student. So my priority and those who I look at right now, who I do my research on, is only the city members who actually take part in my education, rather than the president who's usually who my parents are supposed to be focused on, since they're the ones that control their taxes and their rights. I mean, I also have rights as well, but it's like I don't have any control over it. My parents are the ones who take care of us. And my parents usually keep their views private as well because they don't want to influence our opinions and just put their beliefs on us because they want us to form our own opinion. But since I'm not of age, I have been doing my research. I'm not saying that I'm for Biden, but I'm also not saying that I'm for Trump, because either way, it's not gonna affect my student life. My student life is usually about like council members of our city. Both candidates are not good for America. I do not like neither. None of them represent me nor my family. As a minor, I have no say. And that's also what adults think too. Whenever we try to talk about politics or whenever we voice our opinions, they always quiet us and say, we're too young, you can't even vote. You can't even vote. Like, just that phrase just upsets me. Like, even though I can't vote right now, I'm gonna vote when you're dead. So like, I'm still gonna be a part of the future. Those two presidents have an effect on my parents, and even though I won't live up to be like my parents, I'll try to seek a better future. Politics and the candidates that are going to be running in the future are still gonna have the same influence on me.
I believe that President Trump would be a better candidate rather than Joe Biden.
I feel that in regards to the economy, he would probably improve it as he's done in the past 4 years before the COVID-19 crisis, and because in terms of foreign policy, he's made stretches for world peace rather than war, and past presidents have had problems with that.
Well, we can see that the social media in general has a big impact on everyone's viewpoint on what's going on in the world. In terms of media specifically, we can see that it has a big power, and we can see that it influences people. It makes the people really consider like what the presidents are going to, like what their decisions are in terms of movement, in terms of like this pandemic. It's just they test the president's like reflexes, basically, in a way. How if something big happens, like the pandemic or this movement that's probably on the verge of a racial civil war, the media is asking presidents, you know, how are you going to react to this? Are you going to fix it? Are you going to make it worse? You know, it's basically like one big test after another. How are you going to fix the public's issues rather than just the country as an entirety?
With the media, of course, with like the Black Lives Matter movement, they're bringing more awareness to the people of color. Of course, I don't want a racist. I don't want a person who hates my people or other colored people running. But also, that isn't the only factor when choosing a president. There's the economy, there's domestic issues that we have to talk about. And for me, I'm usually on TikTok, and on TikTok it's just usually domestic. Like, we don't talk about foreign since it's social media. It's supposed to be fun. And the economy isn't fun, it's boring.
Wow, students have a lot to say about our presidential candidates. 2020 is definitely a year for the history books. Our final story is an interview with Clint L. Sasser, the Dean of Schools at the new Vanguard High School that is opening next year. Mr. L. Sasser discusses all the new programs that will be offered there for Mesquite ISD students next year.
My name is Clint L. Sasser. I'm Dean of Schools at Vanguard High School. Vanguard will have 16 different programs of study. Those are career areas that they can study. We have lots of health science, firefighting, EMT, architecture, engineering. We have the automotive collision and technology. So there's all these different career paths that they'll have. A lot of those programs are at existing high schools that will move over to Vanguard. So they will be unique in Mesquite ISD at Vanguard. So those are all the different career paths that lead to Vanguard. So those will be unique to Vanguard and not to any of the other campuses. So we're not duplicating any programs. I believe Vanguard will impact the district and just really bring kind of a different focus for students. So students will be able to come, they'll be able to pick a career out of one of those 16 career clusters, study that essentially for 4 years, and then they'll be able to leave either with a industry certification or some sort of dual credit to lead them to the next level. And so there's really, two paths for students. If they're a career path student, they want to graduate from high school and get a job, we have a path for them, a clear path to a specific career goal. If they want to go on to a college or a 4-year, there's a specific path in those careers for that, and they can get college credit as they're at Vanguard High School. So now not only are they getting their core education, but now they're getting specific training in a career area that will set them up for success when they graduate. And that's really what we're looking for, to give all the students in Mesquite ISD the opportunity to really set themselves up for their future and what they want to do and what they're passionate about. We'll have everything that you could think of for some of these career focused. For example, firefighting. It is a career or a fire academy. And so students will put on real bunker gear. There will be an apartment in there that students will get to simulate what it's like to be in an apartment. There's tanks, equipment, state-of-the-art facilities. So there'll be a lot of technology in buildings, so not only just on the industrial side with all of the equipment that we have, whether it's auto tech, auto collision, the engineering side is going to have a lot of from robotic arms to specialized equipment, but even in our core classes there's going to be a lot of new tech. The teaching model that we're looking at is a lot of remote teaching, where you have a core instructor in one room, an instructional intern in the other. There's simultaneous instruction going on and interacting virtually. So that means really our classrooms don't have to be in classrooms. They can literally be anywhere in the building that you want them to be, or they can even be outside. And so we're really kind of pulling back what education looks like through technology. A lot of students that want to be a pharmacist, they go into pharmacy, they learn how to mix drugs together, put medicine in pills, they learn all the terminology, they do everything and they learn all about being a pharmacist. And so then when they're done, they get a pharmacy tech certification, which means right out of high school, they can go work at Walgreens, they can go work at CVS, they can be a pharm tech, and a lot of students will go to school, be a pharm tech, and that's their job. And they get paid pretty good money. And then while they're going to school, a lot of them, will end up being, pharmacists, or you can be a doctor. A lot of them want to be doctors because they learn that terminology when they're in high school. So it's a really good field to get into. The industry is always changing, right? And so I feel like Vanguard will be one of those schools that will be ever changing and ever evolving. You never arrive at your end destination with a place like this, because career and industry is always changing, and we have to stay up with the times. In education, we can't continue to be 5, 10, 15 years behind. We always have to be evolving, seeing what the recent trends are. How can we keep up? What are our business industry partners doing? How are they needing us to, fill those skills gaps that are in a lot of these industries that are around us here in Mesquite? So really, for me, what the vision in the future is it really is limitless. It could be anything. It could be expansion. It could be different programs. It's whatever the trend is at the time that we need it to be. If you're a student and you want to come to Vanguard, it's very simple. You can get on our website, look at all of the different courses that we have or programs of study that are available to you. Find something that you're interested, that you're passionate about. Once you kind of figure that out, I encourage you to talk to your counselor to find a little more about that, research it. And then what you do is you log into your Skyward account. There's a forms tab on the left-hand side. You'll click on that. You'll see Vanguard program selection form. You fill that out, send it to us. We'll have your name. You get to choose 2 different programs. You get a first choice and a second choice. That guarantees you if one fills up, you have the opportunity to be there for another career avenue. And so I really encourage you, do your research, see what you're passionate about, what kind of sparks some interest to you, and then enroll to be in one of those programs and see what happens.
Thank you, Mr. Elsasser, for the interview. It looks like there will be many great programs provided at the new Vanguard High School.
That wraps up this edition of MSEB News. For more information on today's story, please visit the MSEB YouTube channel, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Kimberly Payan.
And I'm Yuvia de Mata. Until next time, stay classy, Mesquite.
This has been a presentation of MSEB, Mesquite Student Entertainment and Broadcasting, in association with the Mesquite Independent School District Career and Technical Education Department.